So I quit my job. As of today, Monday, January 24th, I am a full-time freelance filmmaker. Let's talk about how that happened. It all began freshman year of high school. I made some new friends, and these guys, they like to make videos. Literally, the first time I hung out with them, they picked me up and they were like, hey, we're gonna go make a video. You wanna make a video? It's like, yeah, I guess. From there, it was kind of history. We made super cringy, very early YouTube kind of skit comedy videos. We were filming on the webcam of a MacBook, which this was 2012. MacBooks don't have good webcams now. Like, they just updated to 1080p and they still look like crap. So we were just running around holding computers, filming videos, editing them in iMovie, and having a good time. Even that early on, I was like, yeah, I wanna make YouTube videos. I wanna be a YouTuber. Fast forward to, I think, the summer after sophomore year, I discovered Casey Neistat, and oh my gosh, I fell in love. I fell in love with his storytelling, with his filmmaking. I think he was my first introduction into a more purposeful form of storytelling and video creation, especially his more tutorial-esque videos where he broke down kind of the theory behind how he tells his stories. And I was infatuated and hooked on the fact that I could take these techniques and tell my own stories. So towards the end of high school, that's exactly what I did. I have like 10 to 12 vlogs from my senior year of high school, which again, just so cringy, but I find it so dope that I have kind of senior year documented, like prom, senior breakfast, senior prank, graduation. And speaking of graduation, that's kind of the next part of this story. It was time for us to choose our careers, go to college, get a job, grow up, and we did that. You know, we were 17, 18. Of course, we knew exactly what we wanted to do with our lives, and how could we not, being so well developed and full grown? Sarcasm, ha 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 ha. But that leads us to UAB. This is where I went to school. Not terribly far, but I was in a new place, doing new things, including my biology pre-med degree. I was gonna be a doctor. Eventually I changed to biomedical sciences and was gonna go to physician's assistant school. What I'm really trying to say is I had never studied like that before, and it was just awful. In a pre-health program, either you're making A's and joining clubs and getting patient care hours, or there's really no point because you're not gonna get into your professional school unless you're doing all of that. That's what it felt like to me, at least.
So this is supposed to be a day with me at UAB, and the library is very fitting because, honestly, we spend a lot of time in here, don't we?
But it's not like I would rather be doing videos until on my twin extra long mattress in room 210 of Camp Hall, I watched my first Peter McKinnon YouTube video. And yes, I hear you, I get it. Oh my gosh, your two biggest inspirations in filmmaking are Casey Neistat and Peter McKinnon. Very unoriginal, whatever. That's how it happened, okay? I watched a video, picked up my trusty Canon T5i, and went and practiced shooting stable footage with 3 points of contact. And from there, everything was simultaneously downhill and uphill at the same time. Just like in high school, I was making videos. They were cringy, they sucked, but they had a purpose behind them. They were cinematic and cringy. I was trying to actually practice filmmaking techniques. I was watching a bunch of people talk about cinematography and storytelling, and that's all I wanted to do, which created a problem when junior year started and those classes required all of my time and all of my focus. That's the hardest thing I've ever done academically. And combining that with just being angry that I couldn't just be making videos and getting better, it was hard, especially once I started getting some freelance jobs. I think my first freelance job was like $75 to piece together some videos a guy like ripped off of Facebook. Nothing crazy, but it was money. It was $75. That was a lot of money to me. That's still, I mean, I would still love $75 right now. Posting on Instagram and YouTube led to me getting an internship at a social media marketing agency across town, right over there. It's like 4 blocks that way. And getting that internship was just another thing to say like, oh, I could have a career doing this. I could make money doing this. But I've already started this degree. I'm already spending all of my time trying to pass these classes and get a PA job where I'm gonna make $150,000 a year. But all I wanted to do is like make some videos. I was way too confident in myself for what my work looked like, but I was ambitious, and I knew that if I had the time to work on it, I could be really, really good. Once that clicked in my brain, anything that was hindering me from doing that, it just frustrated me, and got to the point where I had to make a decision. So I talked to my mom, asked her if I could drop out, and she was not a fan of that. So what I ended up doing was changing my major to general studies, graduating as quickly as possible, and working at that social media marketing agency. And you know, I had my struggles there, working with clients and with an agency for the first time, but I was learning a lot. So that takes us from making super cringy videos in high school, super cringy videos in college, super cringy cinematic videos in college, freelance marketing agency, and then as I was graduating, I was following this guy on Instagram, and he worked at an agency in town, and they just looked like they had the time of their life. I reached out to him on Instagram, tried to apply for this agency, didn't hear much back, and then one fateful day, probably like 2 weeks before I graduated, a buddy of mine who I had done some freelance work for, just an amazing person, texted me and said, "Hey man, would you want to work a full-time video production position?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, where?" And he said, so tomorrow will literally be my first day not working here. In the last 18 months, almost 2 years, I've been setting up this whatever, lighting setup, and I was going around the office like, there's some cool symmetry right here and will be a good talking headshot. Then I walked over to my desk and it made me sad, so I figured I should set up over here where the story is, where I've been since May of 2020. Okay, I wasn't here in May of 2020. I actually worked the first 6 months of this job remote. I would hop up out of my bed, turn my swag on, and sit down immediately at my desk, which is right in front of my bed. This building wasn't telegraphed to me until November of 2020. Up until that point, telegraph was Zoom calls and Slacks and phone calls, and I'm just not the work from home type of person. I thrive off of being around people, which is funny because now I work by myself. So between the Slacks and the Zoom calls and the edits and the revisions, I was getting to go out and shoot on a Red for the first time. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna miss you. But not only was I shooting on a super high quality camera, I was being directed and taught by some super freaking high quality people, specifically my directors, Kat and Jannard. It's hilarious because these are two of the most opposite people, the way they think, the way they execute in filmmaking and just everything. But I feel like both of them taught me and gave me so much. And I could go through a bulleted list of exactly the lessons they taught me, how they made me a better filmmaker. But I think it's more accurate and comprehensive to just say that they really help and reshape the way that I have ideas and allow myself to run with those ideas and execute on those ideas, which I would say is infinitely more valuable than all the other more tangible filmmaking things that they taught me. Learned a lot from y'all, and I'm sure I will continue to. That brings me to kind of the theme of this video. As I was writing it and thinking about all the things that I've done in the past, I guess 10 years, I'm only 24, but every single time I'm a part of something and I do something and I grow and then I leave and things change, the one thing, and gosh, this sounds like super cheesy, but it is what it is. The most valuable thing, the most important thing that I take from all of my life experiences is the people, the connections that I make. My friendships and my connections to people are easily the most valuable things that I have. But here I am. I quit my job. I'm gonna pack these lights up, put them back upstairs, format my computer, and walk out of here one last time as an employee of Telegraph Creative. We did it.